So we're back on the 4.6, getting things repaired. Earlier I noticed that there's an oil leak underneath the car. Looks like a fairly clean oil filter underneath there. Go back underneath. Sorry, my finger there. You can see the oil leak. Put a pan underneath it. It leaked all over the driveway. Runs down a little bit. It's not terrible, just seeping out. And my guess is this guy right here, which is lower radiator hose connected to oil filter adapter. One of two things has failed. Either the seal, which mounts it between the block and the oil filter adapter, or if there's water in this housing, I guess it could have cracked. I do know that the previous owner, when he was doing his repairs and getting it ready for importation into Canada, they had run just water in it rather than losing all the coolant. So he did drain it out and warned me when I was moving this around that there's no coolant in it. So if you just drain the radiator, it may not have got all the fluid out of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the oil filter housing, and it's either going to be buy a new gasket or head to the junkyard and look for an uncracked unit. So we'll know once we pull it out, put it on the workbench and take a look-see at it. So speaking of importation into Canada, notice this guy here. Relay goes into the headlights. This goes underneath through there to the battery, and it originates here, which I suspect is somebody installing daytime running lights to meet Canadian importation rules. So I'm going to put the phone down. We're going to drain either the radiator or the oil or both, depending on what's in there, and then we'll pull it out and we'll assess the carnage. Be back. So we jacked her up a little bit here. Cardboard to crawl around underneath on. You can see where it's been leaking. A bit of coolant as I undid the housing. However, we can get a good look here. Oil filter. We're changing the oil regardless while I'm under here. You can see right up in there, that's where she's leaking from. Power steering line, or lines. One of those two underneath. So, the question now is it just loose or is it split? I already started taking the lower radiator hose off, as you can see right there, in anticipation of taking off the housing. It doesn't look like the housing is leaking, except for the oil filter, of course, leaking all over everything. But it's easy enough to access. So it's the power steering hose. Good or bad, I don't know. Definitely a lot easier to deal with this, I guess, than the entire housing being cracked. So, power steering hose as it is. Well, snow's a little bit melted and we're back at it. Wife's got the garage, driveway, I got the street. Power steering hose was leaking. It was looking a little loose. This is the flared end. Aside from a little bit of a cleanup, I don't think it'll be anything too serious at this end here. Teflon O-ring side, this part here peeled off, so I was taking it apart. I think it's a little wasted. You can see there's a second one in here. It also would appear to be a little on the crunchy side. So, friends at Napa, both $5, $6. Got a couple of O-rings, one big one and one small one. So we're going to ease these on and struggle with it to put it back on again. It was a bit of a mess. I had to take the lower pulley off to undo this, and as you can see, she's a little on the chewy side. So I'm going to hope for the best and just pound that one back in. It was only strip taking it off, so I think it'll be just fine putting it on. So wish me luck once again. So apparently have a little bit better success now. without a pen lid, not stretching it out so much. So what I did is I filled the cup with hot water and I soaked the ring. This is an example of the second ring. It comes in these packages of the 82540. So I soaked it in there for a few minutes. Let it soften up so it would stretch out. So instead of a pen lid, I took some plastic from like a blister pack. I can do this one-handed here. Basically, I rolled it up, inserted it like so. Just give me a moment here. So basically what you're looking at is something like this. And then what I did was wedged one end over the threads. Again, doing this one-handed here. So basically this was over top of the threads. And then I applied a little white lithium so it wouldn't run off and it would stick a little bit. And then just basically pushed it on like so. And then when I got it to the point where it's too high, I just used my nails and then it popped on and I can see there's no play. It's not been stretched too big. So that was the problem the last time when I ended up with that mash job, wherever it went to over here. This guy here, is that it was stretched too big. And as I tightened it up, it was basically squirted out. So we'll give it a try. Today's job was replacing some rotted out vacuum lines. You can see all the powder underneath here from dry rotted lines. This guy had been replaced and this one's been replaced. Broke this one here, so put a new piece in there. That part was completely rotted, so that's also been replaced. It's got a bunch of loose hoses I collected over the years, but you can kind of see how bad we are. And from the dry Arizona sun, I'd imagine that part was broken when I was putting everything together. So removed it and just spliced in a piece. This is only part of this line. The rest of it's still underneath there, but completely rotted out. You can see this one here. Looks like it was to the a canister underneath for fuel vapor. Just disgusting. So today's job was to take a bunch of just random pieces that I have, just replace whatever I could, starting to put everything back together, except I have a port down there. I can't figure out what's going there, where it goes, so I'm sure that'll come together. Once I put the intake on, I'll probably forget all about it and have a big vacuum leak. Well, it's time to clean the injectors for the Grand Marquis. Got a selection here from the car and some spares that I had. Just taking the best 8 without broken pintle caps or missing pintle caps. Right here we got one broken and one missing. So assortment of parts to clean them, if you've ever seen this done on the internet. Using a syringe, brake clean with a little hose, 12 volt power source, which is actually just a 2 amp trickle charger. Triggers the injector so I can flow the product through it. I've got brand new gaskets from Napa. 8 in one package, 8 in the other. Funny, they're the same part number, yet completely different size packages. So, and also have an assortment of Power Fist O-rings for setting up the cleaning process. As you'll see, I've got one done here. I've got another one done, and the third one here. I think this one here is going to be on the go. It requires an O-ring in this groove here. I'll use this as a pointer. This groove here, you put a thin O-ring into it. And that's your O-ring there, and it fits inside. The syringe provides an airtight seal. And it just Put the tube down the hole, making sure that it goes inside your injector, much like this. When you're spraying it, and then you just spray until you get a nice even spray pattern at the end. So you've seen this done before. So this is my injector rebuild day today. So getting closer to the time when I can actually, use it besides something other than a broom stop. So we'll just carry on. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been working on the car, the project. As you can see, so the last time I visited, we got a little bit of snow. So cleaned it all up and the sun's been melting it. It's been a little bit of a pain to try and get work done when I have a full house here. So back to my injectors. All new O-rings on them, but you'll see I've got two oddball colors. I had a couple that didn't pass the mustard and had to require a couple more from the local Picky Pull. Really, this is the issue. These little pintle caps, you can see there's a crack on that one there. This one I broke it taking it off. It had a missing chipped edge. Just easier to go get a new junkyard injector with a decent pintle rather than trying to pull these off, because they are a pain to get off. And specialty tool I made to try and work on the power steering pump leak. It's my own homemade 18mm crowfoot with a rounded off Torx bit. Don't mind the ugly welds. All it has to do is hold. It drilled a hole through it and then welded it from both sides. You can see the 18M that's remaining on it. So today's project is drop the injectors into the holes. I've already cleaned it out as best I could previous when I did the intake manifold install. So today I'll be just oil up the injector rubbers. It's too cheap to get the pintles, and like I mentioned, there was a little pain in the butt to try and get the pintle caps off without destroying everything. Imagine it'd be just the same trying to get them back on. So don't mind the visitors here. All right, back to the work. Let's get on the project. Well, everything's all buttoned up together. Let's give it a test drive here. See if she fires up. All right. This is the donor car. Or try here. Cycle the fuel pump a couple times. Well, there we go. There's no coolant in it, so I'm just gonna one more try. Make sure everything is squared away. Done. So we fixed the power steering leak by getting that silly little Teflon gasket or O-ring in place. Pulley, had to remove the power steering pulley and put that back in place, replaced some hoses, and we're good to go.